All right, everybody. I'm back again. It's midday. I only have a couple more jobs, 3 to be exact. They're pretty spaced apart, but they all look pretty simple. So I'm going to go ahead and get into these Atlanta Falcons real quick. These videos don't take that long for breaking down the offseason in a quick way. Excuse me, brief summary. So this offseason, the Atlanta Falcons have been pretty busy. All right, so I scroll down. The Atlanta Falcons released Ricardo Allen in February. They signed punter Dom Maggio. They released guard James Carpenter. The Falcons re-signed wide receiver Christian Blake, cornerback Tyler Hall, kicker Young-Ho Koo, and defensive end Jacob Tuioti Mariner. I'm just going to call him Jacob Mariner. The Falcons re-signed tight end Jaden Graham. Falcons traded a 7th round pick for the Bills' Lee Smith. Let's go, Bills. The Falcons signed linebacker Brandlin Copeland as an unrestricted free agent. They signed Eric Harris, who's a safety. They signed Barkevius Mingo. Mike Davis, running back. I believe he was from the Panthers. They signed cornerback Fabian Moreau, and Matt Gono, offensive line, signed his restricted free agent tender. It was a 2nd round tender, so if somebody else wanted to sign him, they would have to give the Falcons a 2nd round pick. All right, so the Falcons in April signed offensive lineman Josh Andrews, defensive tackle Jonathan Bullard, defensive end Stephen Means, tight end Ryan Becker, safety Deron Harmon, and running back Cordell Patterson. Is he a running back? That might be debatable. I say he's, whatever. He plays running back, wide receiver, kick returner. His position should be OW, offensive weapon. That's what he is. He is a weapon. They released Ito Smith, running back, and then came the draft. And with their first pick, 4th in the draft, they took Kyle Pitts. Okay? So, Kyle Pitts, slam dunk player. Matt Ryan is an outstanding quarterback. There was a lot of people, including some Falcons fans I was talking to, who believed that Matt Ryan should be replaced. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. That offense was not the problem last year. They were putting up 30, 35 points in games, and their defense was allowing 45, 50 points in games. It was bad, and it wasn't because of the offense. It was because of the defense. You got to fix the part that sucks, not the part that doesn't. So, Falcons agreed to terms with QB AJ McCarron. What? And then at 40th overall, right? Because the 29th was round 1, and then that next day before the draft started, they signed AJ McCarron. Then they select safety Richie Grant. Now that's a good pick for the Falcons, and I'll tell you why. Personally, I would have gone with Morig out of TCU, but if they felt Grant was their guy, it's a good pick for them. They lost Keanu Neal. He's now a Dallas Cowboy. And I don't really know if Keanu Neal is really that big a loss, because Keanu Neal, he was hurt a lot. And some teams are talking about picking him up and moving him to linebacker. I don't know how much healthier you're going to keep him there. Maybe you don't let him get that huge running start from safety to nail somebody, but good luck with him, Dallas. All right. So then they picked up offensive lineman Jalen Mayfield. Protect your quarterback and secure running lanes. That's what you want to do. You signed a pretty solid running back in Davis. So, if that's who you want to roll with, that's who you want to roll with. They also then, in the 4th round at pick 108, they selected cornerback Darren Hall. They lost Alford a couple years ago, and then they lost, I forget who their other corner was. Didn't matter, because that was a wrap for them. They needed cornerback depth, so they got a safety and a corner this draft. The secondary is being addressed. They definitely have addressed offense, though, because The next pick is offensive lineman Drew Dahlman in the 4th round. Okay, so they've taken 2 offensive linemen, a tight end, and then they took 2 DBs. Now, their D-line isn't bad, right? Their D-line is not bad. They could use an edge rusher. What they did was they selected defensive lineman Taquan Graham in the 5th round of the draft. Now, I don't know much about Taquan Graham. I never really even heard of him. I'm not a big draft guy, but 5th round guys, they can come in and they can contribute and be depth on your team. Falcons then selected outside linebacker Adetokunbo Ogundeji. I think I said it right. Adetokunbo Ogundeji. The 182nd pick in the 5th round. So, now at this point, it looks like they're addressing that defense. Outside linebacker, nice selection. They needed one. Then they went after another cornerback in the 5th round, cornerback Avery Williams. Nice, solid pick. Cornerback was deep this year. Definitely not a bad year to pick up corners. Then they selected wide receiver Frank Darby with the number 187 pick in the 6th round. The Falcons declined Hayden Hurst's 5th-year option, which is weird because you just traded for Hayden Hurst, and Hayden Hurst is an outstanding tight end. But they did just draft Kyle Pitts. But you could have a 2 tight end set with Matt Ryan. And you can't expect Kyle Pitts to block. Hayden Hurst is a better blocker. What are they doing? But then they went and exercised Calvin Ridley's. That's smart. Falcons agreed to terms with offensive lineman Jack Botho. Falcons agreed to terms with Zach Daw. Inside linebacker Dorian Etheridge. So these are undrafted rookie free agents. Falcons agreed to terms with quarterback Felipe Franks. Offensive lineman Bryce Hargrove. Running back Javian Hawkins. Outside linebacker Eli Howard. Running back Caleb Huntley. Outside linebacker Kobe Jones. Safety, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. That's just Dwayne Johnson. He's a safety from I don't know where because it's not telling me the colleges on their website. And I don't have the same website I had last night on my computer, so it was a little more difficult. Cornerback Marcus Murphy. Outside linebacker Ryan Nuzul. Antonio Nunn, wide receiver. Junior Pace, safety. Alani Pututau, outside linebacker. Offensive lineman Joe Sculthorpe. Tight end John Rain. Inside linebacker Errol Thompson. Offensive lineman Keon Smith. Wide receiver Austin Trammell. And wide receiver Juwan Green. So, they were really busy after the draft. And they needed to because the Falcons were a mess after this year. And, they did some moves right there to improve their team, but we're going to have to see because some of the free agents they signed, I really don't know much about. I know about Mike Davis. He played for the Panthers. He was a solid running back this year. When Christian McCaffrey went down, he didn't play to the same level as Christian McCaffrey, but he played pretty freaking well. I remember seeing him on TV. I live in Carolina, so, they're on the TV. And I watch all the games that I can. So, and if the Panthers are on, I'll watch them. As long as they're not playing the Bills, I'll root for them. But yeah, a lot of the guys they picked up, like Barkevius Mingo, he's supposed to be good, but he's not that good. Brandon Copeland, decent linebacker. He's not going to do too much for you, but he's decent. I'd say the bigger guys they picked up were, where is it? It was right before the draft. Deron Harmon and Cordell Patterson. So special teams and safety. And then they drafted another safety. And then they drafted a cornerback. So they addressed a lot of their needs. The question is, are these players going to fit? I don't want to say fit because they probably drafted guys and signed guys that fit their scheme. But are these guys going to be good enough to make the Falcons relevant? That's a tough question. But all in all, I think it was decent. I don't think it was as good as the Cardinals, though. So I'm going to give their offseason, a B-. The Falcons need a little more work. But, free agency is not over. Teams will be cutting players, and one man's trash is another man's treasure, and you never know. Some teams are going to be cutting good players too because the cap is not what it should be. But because of that, teams with some cap space will be able to sign some of those players. And there's going to be a lot of 1-year rent-em deals, until we figure out what next year's cap's going to be. Anyway, it's been my pleasure breaking down the Falcons offseason. They needed defense heavy. They went after defense, pretty heavy. Brought in a bunch of linebackers. They didn't bring in a lot of D-line help, but they didn't really need a lot of D-line help. They brought in plenty of DBs, safeties, and corners. I didn't see a lot of high quality, though. There was a couple of players who were, pretty good, but didn't see a lot of high quality on the defensive side. So we'll see. I mean, I could be wrong. Some of those guys who were drafted later or, signed that I don't really know of could be really good. Look at the Buffalo Bills. We signed Micah Hyde, who people knew was pretty good. He played a jack of all trades in Green Bay, but then they signed Jordan Poyer, and no one saw him being as good as he is. So I could be totally wrong, but we'll see. Good luck to the Falcons. I hold no ill will against them. They're not a rival. And good luck to them. You guys take care.